You've spent an entire career fighting fires and rescuing the injured, sick, and dying. But that's all over now. What do you do when the sirens stop, you've hung up your gear, and you walk out of the firehouse for the last time? What do you do with your life when the smoke clears? Welcome back to the When the Smoke Clears podcast. I'm Russ Miles. I'm here with Tony Ben Cosme, and we are back with a part two with Division Chief Mike Love. And Chief, thank you very much for joining us again. We really appreciate you coming back so that we can hear the rest of your story.
Thank you, and I look forward to telling it. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. So for those of you who are new to the show, if you haven't listened to part one of Chief Love's podcast, please go back and listen to that. He has a lot of great information to share about him just coming up and joining the department at a young age, volunteering at Glen Echo. I'm sorry, not Glen Echo, at Glenmont Station 18, and joining the fire department and with the Glen Echo Fire Department. And then I worked for Silver Spring for a while, and he became a sergeant. He got promoted to sergeant in 1982. And so from there, that's where we're going to jump back into the story. So Chief, take it away.
Thank you, Lieutenant. And I'm really happy to be here, and I really love this program that you guys do to capture people's oral histories. Let's go back to December of 1982, and what a great time for me. I had sat on one list prior to the one getting promoted, and I think only one or two people had gotten promoted off that list. If you can imagine that. After we went through transition to county employment, it seems like every year we just about exhausted the lists. But there were times that things were kind of hard to get early in the days. But anyway, December of 1982, and worked at Station 19 as a shift sergeant there. We did not work necessarily with the lieutenant station commander. They floated over all three of the shifts so that everybody got an opportunity to get a proper supervision at one point or time. We only had one nowadays, what's called a captain. Back in those days, it was lieutenant in each station at Silver Spring. I think Bethesda, Glen Echo, Chevy Chase were probably the only ones that had a lieutenant captain level on each shift. So we were pretty much on our own, and you did your shift and took care of your people and ran the calls, and that was it. So let's see, in January of 1986, I got promoted to lieutenant level, and then I went to Station 1 as the station commander and worked there for a couple of pretty tough years. We were going through our pushes to become county employees. We went through the lawsuit that brought about our inclusion in Fair Labor Standards Act. At that point in time, we were very low on staffing in my company, and we ended up even as officers riding the ambulance and whatever it took to get the apparatus out. Very busy time. Silver Spring at that point in time was getting ready to go under economic redevelopment, and there was a lot of vacant buildings down there. And while we didn't have a lot of those buildings catch on fire, we ran a whole lot of calls in some pretty bad constructed buildings and maintained buildings. So that was quite an interesting time.
Chief,
Yeah.
you mentioned that in '82 so let me understand this. You said you were a county employee. Just a refresher for some of the folks, because this historical perspective, I don't think people have about where we're at right now as a department. Um, you were a county employee, right? But you were still under the control of a corporation, correct? How did that work? They cut the checks and everything. That so you weren't unionized. You didn't get overtime. Everything was straight pay, and you were basically working for the corporations as like a casual employee. Is this not casual employee? You
Yeah,
had a
we were. Yeah,
you had a retire. Did you have you had a retirement at
yeah,
that
yeah.
point?
Let me just say, going back to 1973, after one of the fire bills had occurred, um, all of the career firefighters were brought in under the county's benefit system and the personnel regulations and any of the administrative functions of employment. But we were still employees of each individual fire and rescue corporation. So, so we got everything we needed as far as personnel regulations go. We got leave, we got sick leave, annual leave, comp leave if we worked and we're not being compensated for overtime. We did get overtime over our 48-hour work week. Um, we had uh, let's see what else. We had medical FROMS type work that was provided by the county. So we had all that kind of stuff. We were just not county employees, and that's one of the things that we worked on to try to have accomplished was to become actual county employees and be run by the county. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yeah, no, that I just to piece it together, because there was that spot. I mean, I know that you mentioned it before, and I know uh, retired Battalion Chief Tippett mentioned it before about how this was a process from way back to become employees. That was always been the game, is to become employees and to become a complete department since way back. You know.
Right, right, and it took a good 20 years once that ball got rolling, but yeah, it made a big difference. And like I was saying, in that mid 70s time period there, when we then fell under Fair Labor Standards Act after a complaint from the union to the Department of Labor, we then had an opportunity to say, well, if we are made county employees, then we would not be violating the Fair Labor Standards Act. So that's what actually finally uh, uh, springboarded us into county employment. It was just soon after that then that our union became the bargaining unit for the union firefighters, and then they got collective bargaining and then binding arbitration soon after that,
Okay.
which is the ultimate in a union contract.
Yeah. Yeah.
A very good thing for the firefighters. For the first period of time, it was only up through master firefighter that were in the union bargaining unit. Officers were not, sergeants were not, and lieutenants were not, captains on up. Um, it was not long after that the union negotiated with the county to make all the sergeants and lieutenants part of the union as well, and part of the bargaining unit. That was probably early 90s, I would say.
Right.
Um, um, and then of course they did the name changes to lieutenant as the first level of supervision, and then
Hmm.
captain the second level of supervision.
So that was a reclassification, basically, at that point.
Yeah, I mean it was a name change really. It wasn't
All
really
right.
reclassification because no pay grades changed or anything like that.
All
So
right. All right.
it was reclassified in the fact that you were then a bargaining unit employee, though. So there was that. It was just a partial reclassification, I guess you could say.
Okay. That's cool. Right.
So 86 promoted to lieutenant. 88 when we went into county employment, January of 88. I was because we then had a sudden real gap in the number of positions. I ended up pulling active duty as what was then a captain, now battalion
Battalion
chief,
chief. Yeah.
for I guess about 8 months in 1988. And then from there, I went back to Station 19 as a station commander. So I worked there for about a year, and then went to Station 16 as the station commander. Worked there for I guess about 3 years, and in 1992, I was moved to Station 2 as the station commander, and worked there from February of 92 to August of 92, and then got promoted to the battalion chief level and went to communications.
Did you want all these transfers, or they just moved you?
They just moved me.
Wow.
Yeah. But I mean, I was asked sometime, but obviously you got to play along, because certainly the career was good to me. People were good to me. I'm gonna try to help wherever I can. And Station 16, by the way, I thoroughly enjoyed that assignment. It was before there was a truck. Would have loved to have a truck company there, but engine and ambulance had a great shift there, and just ran different calls than in the urban environment. But you were going to Prince George's County, you were going to Hillendale, going to Kensington's area. So, I mean, you went all over the place. That was a very enjoyable station to work at.
Right.
Communications, worked there for 3 years as the battalion chief. Was involved in the upgrading of their communication systems. The radio system we were just starting to buy at that point in time, the procurement. So learned about procurement, learned about setting up, the minimum needs that you need for a contract and those kind of things. A very drinking from the fire hose time, and like learning a whole new career. It changed a lot for me. I got up to speed as quickly as I could with technology, and had a bunch of really good people working there. At the time, we were over there off of Maryland Avenue in a brand new communication center, which soon became obsolete as we went to a new radio system in 2000 or thereabouts. I think it was 2000, 2002 timeframe. When we went to 800 megahertz and all that. Took the assistant chief promotional test in 95 and got promoted to assistant chief, and was moved from communications to C shift chief office.
Doc chief,
I was C shift chief from 95 until 99. And at the time, Bob Allwang, who was operations chief, deputy chief, asked if I would.
Bob Allwang, wow.
Yeah, and he had just gotten promoted to deputy chief and took over operations. He had been EMS chief prior to that, and asked me if I would move from the shift chief's office to to run EMS. And I took that job. That went from shift work to all day work, and did that from 1999 until 2003. When in 2003, they did early outs for a bunch of the upper officers. Gordon Abiagi was our fire administrator at the time. Roger Strock was the division chief of fire and rescue services. He had made that in 1998. All those guys were saying see ya. So 3 of us got promoted to deputy chief, myself, Randy Wheeler, and Phil Gerstio. We all got promoted to that. Phil became the operations chief. Randy Wheeler took care of administrative stuff, and there was only 3 of us at the time. And then I did special operations, which included all the specialty teams and fire code enforcement, fire education, fire investigations, and that kind of stuff.
So you well, okay. Let's go back to when you're a captain, you're a station commander. Obviously, you have to take a test. What made you want to jump? Did they say, okay, I think it's time for you to make the next move? I mean, because it's a different job. You know, it's you're out of the firehouse. It is a completely different gig. It's like applying for a different job altogether. So what made you want to do that? I know that you were motivated, and you said that this job gave you so much. You were eager to learn, and you were just motivated to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking at my future as far as financial stability. I liked doing command work because I'd had a lot of opportunity back in Silver Spring when the station commander or the shift commander was off. In my case, I worked under Leroy Ottinger, who was captain at that time. You bumped up from your station commander. Like I said, there was only 1 lieutenant on each shift. So you then became the mobile commander. We had a mobile van that had all the command stuff in it, and then you were incident commander, first on the scene for Silver Spring. So I enjoyed that. We were just starting to do essential command type functions with a command operating system. I had actually had the opportunity to draw up a draft of a whole incident command system for Montgomery County. And we based it was kind of a hybrid system that was partly based on the National Incident Command System, which was was more for, disasters and forest fires. And we blended it with Fire Ground Command, which was what Phoenix was using that Al Brunacini had made years ago. So it was a bit of a hybrid system, but I thought we could bring in the best from both worlds and then at least give us something that we could use and have some accountability and some standard operating procedures for everybody to use. So I really was appreciative of having that opportunity. So I was really into command. So I wanted to take that next step, never knowing that, and in fact, when I got promoted to captain or battalion chief, there was only 2 of us that got promoted off of that list. And so I went to ECC, the other person went to another staff job. And so I really didn't get what I had intended, and that was to be, a command officer in a battalion.
Yes, they gave administrative gigs from their word go as soon as you got there.
Yeah, I could work all the overtime I wanted and that kind of stuff to fill in and do that. But at that point in time, you're working 10, 12 hours a day in an administrative job, and when you get off, you want to get off and go home. So so I didn't do a whole lot of fill-in work on overtime, but still, it was valued learning at that time. I learned a lot from it. 2003 to 2005, then they changed the law again and established a fire chief. And at the same time,
that wasn't question E, was it? What was question E?
No, that question E was around 90.
That was Gordon, right?
97. That got things going.
Right.
But Mike Knapp, who was the county council member on public safety, had pushed legislation at the county level to make us a system under a single fire chief to take the Fire Rescue Commission and put it off as a input system.
Yeah,
For
advisory
us.
type deal. Yeah,
Yeah.
advisory type
Yeah,
situation.
advisory type, which is
Yeah.
probably still is today. I think
Yeah, it is. It
still
is. Yeah.
exists. And from 93 to 95, I was on the Fire Commission as the career officers member. So that was very interesting. We did a lot of work, had a lot of interesting studies and reports that we implemented, the rescue squad study, the truck study, uh, water supply came into play at that point in time. So yeah, we had a lot of good stuff that we were able to get going through the commission, and it involved everybody in the system who wanted to provide input. So it was really good, busy time.
Right.
95 or 2005, as I mentioned, they established the division chief and divisions as opposed to a deputy chief in charge of a bureau.
Right.
Prior to that, we were bureau chiefs. Then we were changed, and it was just a name change, basically. And
that's like district, when we had districts instead of battalions.
Correct. And they did a lot of that changing for several years there, and then they added, I think, 2 more divisions. One was the Division of Volunteer Services. So you had Operations Division, you had the Division of Volunteer Services, you had what we coined a new division, Division of Community Risk Reduction Services, which was fire prevention, recruiting, PIO, bomb squad, fire investigations, and several other things. Planning. That was the division that I had. Randy Wheeler was division chief of administrative services, which included labor and hiring and all the HR functions, all the money functions of the department, and so on. And that's it. Yeah. So interesting times creating something brand new and trying to fit several things into that, so that we had, enough span of control and division of labor, enough for everybody to maintain their positions.
Right.
So you really had a front row seat to seeing all of really this administrative groundwork be laid and develop and grow and blossom into like kind of what it's become today.
Yeah, I mean, it really was the root times for a lot of the things that are in place now. It stabilized after that. Probably, let's see, Chief Tom Carr left in 2008 and went to Charleston. By that time, things were pretty much stabilized, and he then retired. I worked for another 2 years as division chief and then retired in 2010. So that really gives you the promotional levels that I went through from sergeant all the way up to division chief.
Well, that there was, I mean, because there's major like inflection points throughout your career, because you had been there from the ground, from the beginning to the point where we stabilized. That's huge. I mean, there was been some changes there, but not the change that you're talking about. I mean, it's you're basically, we're reconfiguring ourselves. We're growing, we're changing so fast. Like, what was the change? Because I was here to the fire department and to Montgomery County in general after the Oklahoma bombing. And then again, the big one, of course, everybody talks about 9/11. Those are two completely changed our departments, not just here, but across the country. How was the change at the higher levels of, because you're at the beginning here. What were those changes like, and what did they entail?
Well, let's see. Oklahoma City was, I guess, 93.
I thought it was 94, 95. I don't know.
April of 94, maybe.
Okay.
Well, I mean, terrorism on our own home soil was something. Yeah, it's not unheard of. We had bombings and those kind of things. I mean, right here in Montgomery County, we had abortion clinic bombed over by Holiday Park there at Connecticut and Veers Mill.
Right.
So these things were happening, but on that scale, massive casualties and massive destruction from a improvised device was just something that I don't think anybody had on their radar screen. It was then that things were heating up throughout the world, and radicalism was becoming the norm in the Arab countries, and we were starting to then get an idea that if this can happen from our own domestic terrorism, we probably need to change the way we look at things from a defensive mode or from a protective mode here in our own country. It took many years, though, even after the 9/11 attacks, for us to really get a handle on our concern for chemical and biological risks and those kind of things. We just really, paradigms are hard to make, and then paradigms are even twice as hard to break. And so going from a fire department where you're pretty much running your bread and butter calls of EMS and fire to something completely different, we had a lot to learn, and thankfully there was a lot of money available when we went through the terrorist attacks to give us an opportunity to build up on our mass casualty capabilities. Our early mass casualty capabilities, was 10 or 15 patients at the most. Then we were starting to look at groupings of 25 and 50 and 100 patients that we would have to be dealing with. We didn't have the equipment or the supplies or vehicles to make that happen, nor did we have a plan for how that was going to be. I think the other thing that occurred with the terrorism events was that we became much closer as a region. The Metropolitan Washington COG helped us all work more together. We started developing a lot of standard operating procedures through COG and the Fire Chiefs Committee of COG, and we developed the standard number system for companies and apparatus and counties and that kind of thing. That was a major change. We had communications was being standardized amongst all the jurisdictions, and we changed EMS significantly in the way we communicated and the way we ran the hospital overload systems and so on through COG and through MIMS. So there was just, I mentioned like drinking water from a fire hose. It was just, constantly new things coming at us, new challenges and changes that we needed to make. But I think we all did very well at being able to make these changes, and they were reasonable things that just had to be done.
There were a lot of changes on the labor front too, right? As far as compensation for firefighters and the way we were viewed in general probably changed after those two events too, as far as really getting some good stuff in contracts that moved over to our chiefs and everything. Just the way we were viewed completely was changed, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, it was if there was a time when we had a favorable outlook of everybody involved, it was during that time. Early, let's see, I was trying to think of when when the bombing of the World Trade Center happened, with the truck bomb inside there.
Oh,
That
that
was
was another one.
that was after Oklahoma City. So,
Yeah.
you know, we really went through some times when we were not the favored child in county government, because we were trying to push the envelope. The career people were trying to make things better for us, make things more standardized, and so on. But that pushed people into uncomfortable positions, and county council people were not real supportive of this. So when these attacks occurred nearly overnight, we had a favorable image. Not that they didn't appreciate us and respect us and all that kind of stuff, but they just didn't want to give us the time and respect to make the changes that we wanted to make. So when these things did occur, it did, I think, put us on a different level with the elected officials. And going back to when we went through 1988, we really had some tough time with elected officials at that time. The county council was not happy with us for doing this, and so it was a hostile environment. We actually had two Republicans on the county council, Betty Ann Cronky and shoot, I can't remember the other lady's name, who really were pissed at us, if I can use the word. And then Sid Kramer, who was county executive, who helped us get this going and become county employees, he was beaten pretty handily by Neil Potter, who ran a surprise campaign at the last minute and won. And so we didn't have any friends in any of these places at that time. It wasn't until Doug Duncan came along, which was about the same time as the Oklahoma City bombing. Things really, really turned around nearly 180 degrees. And then we had Captain, you probably remember there was the landfill. Landfill on
Trevilla Road, huge.
Yeah, it was a huge mess, and it really was a bad quality of life for a lot of the citizens that lived over there when that fire started there, and it was just downright funky, and we treated that like a big incident with a command system and everything else, and we went in there and made it happen, made it go away.
Yes.
And Doug Duncan was grateful for that, and he was very supportive of us from there on out until he
left.
Just
a little history on that. We had a similar fire at the recycling center in Dickerson, but it wasn't to this extent because Dickerson is in the middle of nowhere. Now, I want people to understand that listening to this now, Chief, you know this, there was nothing off of Trevilla. There was some houses that had developed. You had a neighborhood, but there's nothing in Dickerson. There was some stuff. It was still a mall there, a little Burger King there, not too far. You had people houses, and they were building like crazy, right?
Yes.
And then you had this dump site that was kind of tucked away. It's hard to tell if it's there or first sight. And it was a huge spot, and it caught on fire, and it was just a mess. And it was all hands on deck for the department. And Chief could tell you more critically how it affected the way. I mean, I'm glad that they set up some kind of systems in place, because I don't know, I was brand new still at the time, but yeah, I don't know. It was a major event though.
Yeah, we were there 24 hours for, probably a week and a half, 2 weeks, as they unpeeled that lemon. Or I mean that onion.
That onion, yeah.
Yeah, that's basically, it was, taking layer upon layer of this, debris, not knowing what was there. I mean, hazmats or anything else. This guy, took everything and got paid for it, and it was buried, and so had deep-seated fires, and we used excavators to pull this stuff away and haul it away and make sure that the debris was extinguished before it left the place. And so it was quite an operation. And like you said, I mean, there's been other similar situations that happened,
Yeah.
but not in the same, suburban type of area that was just developing.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was pretty.
I
Messy.
mean, it's unrecognizable now. There are
Yeah,
houses where that dump site is. There are all kind of new houses there, and
yeah,
bioscience facilities there now.
yeah. That whole area has been an economic development core area, and it's going
Yeah,
to be even more.
yeah. The academy's gone. The
Yeah,
academy's knocked down. It's built up with townhouses and everything. Yeah,
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It's quite a story in its own right.
yeah.
Chief, I wanted to ask you another administrative question. You had mentioned about the Fire Rescue Commission. Um, for those, especially younger on the job, what is the Fire Rescue Commission? Because I think sometimes, like, we'll see the occasional email from George Gable, I think his name
Giebel, yeah,
is,
George
Gable,
Giebel, yeah.
that like, hey, the Fire Rescue Commission, their monthly meeting is this month or it's canceled. And I mean, I think a lot of us have no idea what that is. So could you
Yeah.
explain to us what the Fire Rescue Commission is and how it works with
Yeah, a
department?
little bit of history. Back in 1968, when the fire bill, the original early fire bill, came about to make a career or a centralized fire department under the county government, that didn't fly. That was defeated by the citizens in a vote uh, as a question. And after that, then the county said, okay, we want you to be more organized and more centralized. So they already had the fire board, which was a member, the fire chief, and then a delegate from each local fire department. There were 18 fire departments in Montgomery County. So 36 people on this fire board. They made the decisions for the county fire service. From there on, then they had an executive committee that was established, and the executive committee made all the hiring decisions, all the money decisions, and so on. That was in place until 1998. No. It was oh gosh, I cannot remember the year that the commission came about. It was again another push by career firefighters to make a change, and I am drawing a blank on the year. But the fire commission was established in the 80s, early 80s. The fire commission was then appointed by the county executive. Each of the commissioners were appointed by the county executive. It represented all the stakeholders, and then 3 members of the citizenry at large. So you maybe had I don't know 12 people on there, and not a fire commissioner, because that came later. A president of the commission was appointed by the county executive. So they made all of the decisions of the county fire service, everything from policy to procedures to hiring decisions to grievances. Everything went through the commission, including the budget. So they had a lot of power, and that was in place all the way up until 2005, when the fire chief then became the ruling factor in the county fire service. Over the years, there was always a career representative on the commission. There was a volunteer representative, and then, like I said, there would be 3 members of the community at large. The commissioner, or the president of the commission, or the chairman, I guess, of the Fire Rescue Commission, was always one of the civilian members. I think that pretty much says it all. Early 80s until probably 2005 is when when they stepped back from their current or from their former role as lead in all the issues to one now that they're just advisory. But it had all the stakeholders on it that were part of the fire service, so it was better than what we had.
Okay.
Right.
So they still exist. They don't have near the power that they used to have. They're just more of an advisory commission. Like you
Exactly.
said.
I mean,
Okay.
that's exactly right. In fact, I'm not sure if they really have any authority to do anything except make comment on things. They
Gotcha.
might. I don't know. I need to look at back at
Got-
that.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Now, thank you for that, because
Yeah.
I'd always wondered.
Yeah.
So, bringing it back to you and your career. So you're a division chief, and you're doing that for a while. But eventually, it's you've got to make the decision to hang it up and to retire. So what made you say, all right, I think it's time for me to step away and to retire?
By 2010, I was already in the drop, and I had gone in the drop in 2008. So I had one more year left on it, but I'm not going to go into any heartache or anything like that. But there was certainly some disagreement on my part with some things, and I just decided that I can either fall in line and join up and stay a good soldier, or I can stay on and fight. But I decided I should leave and give somebody else an opportunity to take it from there.
Gotcha.
Okay. All
Gotcha.
right. All right. So you decide to leave, but I mean, you had a long career, man. That's a long time. You did a lot too, man. You did a lot in that span, and the department changed tremendously. I mean, it was, and when you left in 2010 from when you first joined 33 years earlier, and it's unrecognizable, really, to be honest with you, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unrecognizable. We weren't a department at all, and I mean, you went through so many major changes: 88, then 95, then 98, then 2000, 2001. And then we needed a single chief. That's a political move to having Gordon as our administrator was very advantageous for us, because I guess he was spearheaded and taught a lot of guys how to work within the system,
Yes.
and guys took advantage of him. And we had some good guys up there, yourself amongst others, Wheelers, a bunch of guys that took advantage of that situation and really hit the ground running.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, like you said, I so much changed over time. I mean, when I got hired, the first week I was on the job, Montgomery County had just implemented the first county size requirement for smoke alarms in homes.
Oh my God.
1977. And
Wow.
so we were every day going out, knocking on doors and, giving away free smoke alarms, putting them in and, making sure people had smoke alarms. I mean, that all happened the very first week that I started working. And from there on out, it was just change after change after change. We had low pressure, 2,300 pound breathing apparatus at that time. We upgraded to high pressure masks. Thankfully we were able to go with the Scott. That was a big change because everybody had different masks. We had MSAs, we had Survive Airs, we had Scotts. Gosh, everybody had different things, and so none of that is going to be interchangeable on the fire ground. In 2004, we were able to get through a residential sprinkler requirement in newly built homes. That is going to pay dividends in the future to reduce fire deaths. Right now, we unfortunately only have maybe 1.5 deaths per 100,000 in population. That's really good. throughout the nation. That is really good. We don't like them to happen at all, but we need to keep pushing at that because that's what our main job is. Yeah, a lot of changes, Captain, as to what's going on with us in Montgomery County.
Yeah, and it's amazing that you got to, like I said, have a front row seat to see all of this change and develop and come to fruition.
Yes, sir.
So when the time comes and you have your last day and you retire, do you remember your last day at all?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I still, you still have things to do, obviously, but I was ready for it. I really did. I didn't regret any bit of it. Like I said, I did not leave anything on the table. I put forth everything I possibly could to do the best job that I knew how, and I was looking forward to doing some new things. And the last day, the folks over at Code Enforcement had put together a lunch, and I thoroughly enjoyed our togetherness. With just a really good group of people, and from there, 5 o'clock, and I was like, "See y'all later," and I was done.
Yeah,
A lot. Some people go out with a bang, and I went out as I normally did, to turn the light switch off and left.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So tell us about that first month of being retired. What was that like?
It was a lot of catching up on rest for sure. I did not really realize how sleep deprived I was, and of course, we get wired in this job for the emergency nature of it, and I don't know that you ever really rest well. That's one thing I found out, is that it took me years to get rid of the dreams and the worry about failing to catch the alarm or whatever was the case. There's things that we all have. Left my turnout pants on the rack, and and here's a working fire or something like that. It just it's just all those goofy things that get wired into you because of that job. And that first month was just taking it easy and relaxing, reading. I had just bought an old motorcycle that needed a lot of care and feeding and love, and so I was working on that. Took that completely apart and rebuilt it, and then bought two more, and so that filled a lot of mechanical need that I always had. Was something that I always enjoyed working on, engines and, vehicles and machines and that kind of thing. And that really helped me out there. I also, at the time, I joined the local chapter of the Antique Motorcycle Club of America, Chesapeake chapter. And so got to know people there. Wasn't there a month when they asked if I could help out, maintaining their website, because the guy that had it had left. So I learned how to do websites and set that up. So I mean, it just you just hit the ground running. Soon after I retired, though, Chief Diane Zuspan had called me on the phone and said, we need some help on a project, and what it was the Metropolitan Medical response system provided money to EMS for those 9/11 kind of preparedness issues, and we were all supposed to develop a plan for our county, and we were a little bit behind, and so they needed some help on that. And so I went to work within a month, I guess, for MIMS as the project manager for the Metropolitan Medical plan for DC, Montgomery County and Prince George's County.
Wow.
Oversee that. And so it took us, I guess, a good 8, 9, 10 months to get that done. And then I moved on to, it never stops. I mean, nature's like a vacuum. It does not like, you take your finger out of a glass of water and it fills with water, things just happen,
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. What are you involved in these days?
A lot of the same things. I had also been, I do the website for the Fire and the Burn Safety Coalition of Maryland, which hands out and installs the hearing protection notification systems for deaf and hard of hearing. So I do that website. Jim Resnick currently is the president of that. It's it's not a big organization. It's just a organization to be able to implement the funding from grants. We get a lot of money from State Firemen's Association of Montgomery County or from Maryland to buy these smoke alarm systems, and we just then coordinate each of the individual jurisdictions to go out and install them throughout the state. So that's a good thing. I'm still doing the website for Chesapeake chapter Antique Motorcycles. I do the vendor space registration process for the annual meet for Chesapeake chapter. It's some 250 different vendors that come in for a motorcycle swap meet, and that kind of takes about half a year to get that done. Just whatever's needed, just get involved.
Great. I'm glad you're staying busy, man. You seem like you're managing your time very well. So if you had to look back and you would see young firefighters or even yourself, what kind of advice would you give to them about a career in the fire service?
Well, I mean, and you've heard it on so many of these, when the smoke clears, and this is where somebody can really get a heads up on the job. The main thing is, jump right in, be a participant, be a ready participant, help out others where you can in the job, help make others a better firefighter where you can, learn the job, and I mean learn it and master it. There's so much more that we can all do. I try to get as many diverse assignments as you can. Don't be like me and miss out on the opportunity to be assigned to some place with a rescue squad. That's the only thing I'd never had the opportunity to ride on a regular basis. I regret that. But I think that, gosh, rescue work is where it's at. Firefighting is good and is fun and fulfills in so many ways, but rescue work is just top notch. So take the opportunity to do that. Get college or whatever it is that you want to do with your whole career. Make sure that you have the education and training ahead of time, so that you're not trying at the last minute like so many of us did, just to get be able to take the exams.
Right.
I mean, it was like every year you're right up to the time of the exam, taking the courses to make sure that you have what you need to take the exam. Get it all as soon as you can. Get it all early. Get your college. Learn about people. Learn about the union. Be involved in the union as much as you can. They need help. It's all pretty much volunteer work of a lot of dedicated people. They do so much for us. That's about it.
Yeah, that's good. Good stuff. And how about on the flip side for the firefighter who's looking to retire in a few years, or who just got into the drop? But what would be your advice to them?
Well, I mean, obviously, keep your mind open. Be optimistic, and it's not easy just to say, well, you need to be optimistic, but be optimistic that there is life after the fire department, that you will miss it, but um, but there are a lot of good things that you can do. If you really, if there are some people that don't know what to do, uh, communities need volunteer help in so many ways. There's so many things you can do, and then find yourself. I honestly think that I wished I'd found out more about volunteering, for things earlier on in my career. And I'm not just talking about the volunteer fire departments. There are just so many things out there that you can do to help your community. Be involved in that, and learn new skills. Start a business.
Right.
You know.
Right. No, absolutely.
Yeah, that's good.
I mean, you had a long, very, very successful career. I mean, you probably heard this, and I know you've been out for a little bit, but thank you, man. Thanks a lot. You've helped a lot of people in the department, and what you've done good, brother. You've done very good.
I appreciate that, and I'm telling you, I didn't when I went into this. I really didn't have a plan. I did not have an ambition other than just to be a firefighter. That's what I wanted to do. And then one thing, things lead to another, and you say, well, I can do that job, and so you take that next step. You're a driver, you're a technician, you're or in the case of today, you're a master firefighter. And then one thing leads to another, and next thing you know, Lieutenant Miles is a captain, and
Exactly.
and next thing you know, Captain Ben Cosme is retiring.
Yeah,
that's going to happen soon. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Again, well deserved. So just have an open mind, and in some cases, you have a drive to make your quality of life better for your family, and certainly getting promoted helps that out. And I really did not have any plans to go up to the chief level. It was, I would have been happy to be a captain, but it just, things just fall into place,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Mm-hmm. And
It's great.
Sounds like you definitely made the best of it.
Yeah, you did. You took advantage of it.
Yeah. And I really wanted to echo what Tony said, because when I came on the job was 2005, and you were division chief by then, and had a few years left. And when you first get on the job, of course you have to memorize, all right, who are the operations chiefs, and who are the division chiefs, like who are the higher level chiefs. And so we never got a chance to meet, I think, while we were both still on the job. But you had done all of this work that I had no idea about. So I think on behalf of people of my generation and the younger ones who are just coming on the job, thank you for laying so much of the foundation of this department. Thank you for all the work that you put in. It is tremendously appreciated.
Well, thank you, and it really was a pleasure. It's hard work, and you're not making everybody happy, but it's necessary.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And with our last question here that we like to ask everyone. So now, when you get up every day, you wake up in the morning and you look at yourself in the mirror, what is your opinion of the guy who's looking back at you?
Right.
I have a really good opinion. First of all, I don't look in a mirror in the morning because
yeah,
that's the telling time, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
No, I have no problems with looking at that person and knowing that there's more fuel in the tank to do lots of other things. I've got a 1-year-old grandchild, our first, and we're spending every day with her while her mom works. And I've got my oldest child is adult with with significant disabilities that we take care of at home. So, I mean, I really don't have much time to think beyond, solving the problems of the day and moving on. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with myself and the situation, and willing to help out anybody else I can. And I one thing I say every morning, the things that I'm grateful for, and I specifically go into different things in my mind, what I'm grateful for, and oftentimes it comes back to growing up in that job was just tremendous for me. So yeah, I think everybody, it's good for everybody to share their gratitude, at least within their own mind, if they need to.
Fantastic.
For sure. So now, if people wanted to get in touch with you, what's the best way that they could do that?
I do texting and cell phone, 301-633-8511. Again, I do text or voice. They can contact me by email, mikelove44@gmail.com. I'm on Facebook, and I'm everywhere. So they should be able to find me. But keeping in contact, I think, is a big deal.
Yes, it is.
I try to reach out to people all the time, and Darren Carter makes his rounds, and I'm glad to be on his
he does
list of regular calls. Just always love hearing from him, and just call if you need anything.
Wonderful.
Once again, thank you, sir.
My pleasure, and I really appreciate what you all are doing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Chief. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Take care, man.
Thanks for listening to the When the Smoke Clears podcast. Be sure to check out our social media pages on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. Just search for the When the Smoke Clears podcast. Feel free to email us at whenthesmokeclears8@gmail.com. That's whenthesmokeclears and the number 8@gmail.com. You can also support the show by going to the website buymeacoffee.com/whenthesmokeclears and donating however much you like.